Do you know that there's a big difference between your chronological age and your biological age? In science recently, this was a study like in the last 1 year, found that two people can have the same chronological age. That means they can be celebrating their 40th birthday, but one could have the body of a 45-year-old and one could have the body of a 35-year-old. There can be as much as a 10-year gap. I believe the age of individuality is ending. Today, everything we do collaboratively. The world is just too complex for anyone to strike it out alone, and so we need people in our lives. And there's a funny thing happening in the world today. This was a report from a couple of months back. I think it was BBC. Loneliness is up 300% in the Western world. And, this may sound surprising because, look, aren't we more connected, as Mark Zuckerberg says, with social media, with Instagram, with Facebook? Aren't we more connected than ever with our friends? Well, the answer is yes, but on a digital screen. And apparently that isn't enough. So loneliness is up 300%. And among people like you and me, the further you rise up to the top, the more lonely it gets. CEOs, 50% of American CEOs report feeling lonely. But here's the crazy part, right? Loneliness is as bad for your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It is worse for your health than obesity. One of the biggest ways we transform is when we connect with others and we have shared meanings, when we support each other, when you share your vision of the world and I share mine, or when we challenge each other's ideas, but it all comes by bringing people together. Transformational education, to me, is the most important type of education, the single most important type of education you want to invest in for yourself and that you want to put your children through. So first, let me define what that is, right? Transformational education covers the education that many of our institutions forgot to teach us. It's about wisdom, it's about mindfulness, it's about taking care of your body, your mind, your health, your emotional states. It's about being a more conscious parent, being a more conscious lover. It's about how to deal with those days when you might wake up one day feeling depressed or sad, and how do you deal with that? Schools don't teach us that stuff. And here's why transformational education is so important. If you think about the human experience, what really matters is not so much your grades or the job that you have. All of these are means goals. They are a means to an end, right? But if you asked a human being to share with you the moments in life that they're most grateful for, all of those moments often deal with inner states. It's falling in love. It's carrying your first child in your arm. It's the joy of accomplishing your first big win. And all of these are states of happiness, states of joy, states of human connectivity. Transformational education shows you how to get there faster without without the dogma, without the unnecessary toiling towards a degree and then that job that society says you need and then that career path, then breaking yourself working 9 to 5 on something you hate. So the most important thing to teach people is transformation. It's to teach people how to expand their worldviews, to teach people how to know how to take care of their health, how to stay healthy, how to practice longevity practices, how to go within when they're feeling sad, how to practice meditation and mindfulness. This is the most important education. What practices do you have in place to truly go within, to tap into your intuition, to practice mindfulness and meditation? And this is becoming increasingly important. There's a book that just came out called Altered Traits, and there's this mind-blowing graph in that book, and that graph shows how research and meditation is going through an exponential curve. Now, what this means is that there have been almost far more studies on the health benefits of meditation in the last 5 years than there were in the last 30 years. And so we're stumbling upon something really powerful here. And as a result, according to this book, 44% of the Fortune 100 this year will have meditation programs for their employees. So that's one huge pillar. So the big thing to understand is that in Western civilization, we are trained to exist in what you could call a monophasic state of awareness, right? Which means we think of consciousness as primarily existing in the beta or the waking state. So you and I are conscious right now, and we're existing in one particular level of consciousness. So meditation actually gets you to go away from a single state and tap into altered states. And there's a powerful thing that's happening. As people are studying meditation, as people are studying mindfulness, what scientists are discovering is that it has this incredible impact on almost every dimension of your life. There is a myth out there in the world that I call the hustle myth. It says that it's about hard work, that it's about working harder than the competition. It's about busting your back for 100 hours a week. I call bullshit that, because I also see people who focus on themselves first, who have a steady meditation practice, who learn how to tap into intuition and then how to visualize their goals. And they work significantly less but get far better results. You can hustle or you can surrender into your inner space. And I'm a big fan of surrendering into your inner space. Hustling, to me, is an outdated, broken approach that leads to overwork, it leads to broken marriages, it leads to poor relationship with your kids, it leads to aging faster. Don't hustle. It's a myth. When I talk about hustle, I talk about the people who believe that you have to work an ungodly number of hours to be successful. There is a much healthier way. So there are two different types of people who are talking about entrepreneurship today. There's the type of people who talk about entrepreneurship purely in the physical sense. It's about the number of hours you work. It's about the number of phone calls. And of course, hard work has its place. But then you see the rise of books by people like Michael Singer, who wrote the book, The Surrender Experiment. And if you read the book, it's kind of cool. This guy built a $1 billion software company, and he talks about how he did that by surrendering, by going within, by having a daily meditation practice. You're tapping into your intuition. That is a far more efficient way than trying to hustle to get these ideas. You're going within. So you're already doing one of the first steps. Now, the second part is how can you optimize your rate of going from idea to reality. That's the second part of bending reality. And there are a significant number of tools that you can put into play to help you do that by working on your inner states. For example, one is creative visualization. There are so many studies that show that what you visualize in your mind, you can help accelerate in the world. And a lot of people confuse career and impact. Careers were designed to help us survive. So people get into a career because they are operating on a false reality, the post-World War II reality, which is where we needed a 9-to-5 job to survive. But today, the world is changing so fast. Today, I mean, if you just look at what we have in our smartphone, we have so much computing power in our hands. If you're holding a smartphone today, you have access to more computing power and more information than the President of the United States did 20 years ago. Think about that for a moment, right? So with that, the concept of career becomes slightly outdated because anyone today can learn how to earn an income online if they have the right dedication and the right skills. And once again, if you look at the data, according to Gallup, 87% of people globally are disengaged from work and answer yes to the question, I dislike my job. 87%. Which means 13% of the global population, and Gallup polled 2 million people, 13% of the global population like their job. So there's obviously something broken there. So meta-learning is the art of learning how to learn, learning how to set the right goals for your learning, learning how to optimize your learning, meaning speed learning, memory, and basically improving yourself in terms of your ability to absorb information, digest that information, and then turn that information into real-world results. So we call that category meta-learning. I believe the nature of work is going to change. So right now, work extracts from you. When we work, it actually makes us older because of the increase in stress, because of, like I said, 87% of people today, but according to Gallup, dislike their jobs. And when you dislike something, it takes a toll on you. So work actually makes people age, it makes people unhappy, it produces sometimes negative emotions, and all of this have a toll on a biological age. I want to help fix that because I don't think we can continue as a human species in a world where 87% of people dislike their jobs and 55% of kids dislike school. Kids walk to school and run home. Think about that. So how can we switch that? So one of my obsessions is turning work and schools into an oasis of wellness. That employees who answer yes to the following question my supervisor or someone at work cares about me as a person. Employees who answer yes to that question are far more engaged. They have higher revenue per employee. They love their work more. They're more committed. They're more hardworking on all the items that a boss or a CEO or an entrepreneur would want to see. Everything levels up when they feel that they are cared for as a person. And that's really what this is about, caring for people as people.